I've asked Ziggy to come on and talk about how to work real estate with a dual career, right? How to thrive while still having a job and maximizing your leads and leverage. And ultimately, just to learn from someone that I have admired. Ziggy is in our Wake Up Wednesday group, where we meet every morning for 9 o'clock at 9 o'clock. To mastermind, right? And to connect. And she's also in a coach's leadership group with me. She's an athlete, so we got that mindset going. Athlete, single mom, top producer. She actually has a business within EXP and business partners. And so today you get to learn from Ziggy. So Ziggy, thank you for coming on. I love your energy. I love your heart. And I love that you're going to teach us.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me today. This is fantastic. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Tanya, I can share my screen and everything?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to dive right in. I do have a little about me page there, so we can talk about that one once I get there. So let me just get this up and running really quick. And share screen.
And while she's sharing the screen, just so you guys know, I'll have this recording. And if you're new, please let us know. Actually, I'd like you guys to text where everyone's coming in from so that we know where to send referrals. So all of you guys go down there and text where you're coming from. And if you have a name on your Zoom that says iPhone or whatever, can you please text who you are or change your name, because this is going to be a coaching session as well. So Ziggy, pass it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll be chit-chatting, for probably 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll have some time for Q&A afterwards. So, keep your questions, get your questions ready. Feel free to write them down so that you have them handy when we get there. So we're going to talk about, how I crushed it as a dual career agent, and so can you. And, I hear this over and over again. I mean, especially with agents in my group that, either they got into real estate kind of as a side hustle, intentionally or unintentionally, or somewhere along the way they realized that this was something that they wanted to do. And some people are comfortable there and want to stay there, and others want to kind of branch out into become a full-time agent. So I'll kind of give you both sides of that, because I did eventually transition to a full-time agent, but these are some of the things that I learned along the way that I thought were important. So let's dive on in. So basically, we're going to talk about, I've broken it down into 10 steps to success. My first 4 years in real estate, I was dual career. I've been in the business for 8 years at this point. I had been working as a network administrator for 12 years. I was frustrated in the public sector. I was burnt out, underpaid, worried about a layoff because tax cuts were happening. So I got licensed and started basically a feasibility study. Really, that's what it started as, was like, I always wanted to do real estate. Let me see if I can actually make this work. So I was doing it as a full-time employee while raising 2 kids, coaching their travel soccer teams, maintaining a home and marriage. I did catch on to the industry pretty quickly. So out of the gate, I was selling 1 to 2 million, then 3 to 4, then 5 to 6, and I had kind of tapped out there. I had, for my 3rd and 4th year, I kind of stayed at 5 to 6 million, and I was like, whoops, my job's in the way, right? It's taken up 8 hours of my day that I could be focusing on real estate. So we're going to explore the who's, what's, and where's, and identify the benefits, the challenges, and steps to having a successful part-time career, and possibly transition into a full-time agent. So a little bit about me. My name is actually Kristen Zigouras. I go by Ziggy. And I've been licensed. Is that even spelled correctly? Maybe.
It looks like it. And if
licensed,
not, we don't care. We are all
right?
happy to have you here.
Whatever. I've been licensed since 2016, full-time since January of 2020. So I had been in my previous position for 16 years when I decided to step out. It was, I had been diagnosed with a brain tumor in August of 2019. And, knock on wood, everything went fine. I didn't have to have surgery, but it had put me in a position where I needed to go back to work part-time. And when I returned back to work, I was like, you know what, this really isn't working for me. And it was an ideal opportunity for me to leave. So January 2020, I said, you know, see you later, walked out the door. And then we all know what happened in March. So you know,
Starts with the
luckily
P, starts with the
it
P.
starts with a P, starts with a C, whatever. Luckily, I felt confident in my decision, that I didn't look back. I didn't consider going back to my previous profession or job. And I just kind of pushed forward, you know, full steam ahead. Um, I am an icon agent. I'm a certified mentor at my company. I am a success coach. But I had, you know, what I like to call a checkered path. You know, I've had 5 or 6 different professions. I was a nurse. I was a builder. I built homes for 7 years. I did a couple other things. I was a wench at a, you know, the local Renaissance fair. You know, all kinds of fun stuff. Um, but you know, those skills that I had built up along the way, they were all, you know, customer facing. Um, Customer service, customer care was always something that was at the forefront of those positions. I do have 2 kids, teenagers now. Oh my gosh, 2 girls. I am a runner and an athlete. I quadrupled my business last year, and I grew my team of agents to 35 with some, you know, 8 FLQA. My goal for this year is to go to 100 by the end of the year. Interestingly enough, that was my same goal for last year, truth be told. But that statement there that says 2 kids, runner, athlete, it used to say married, 2 kids, and now I am recently divorced. So I had a rough patch last year that, you know, definitely impacted my goals. But that's all right. I'm back at it, and here we go. All right. So
Life reset, life reset.
life reset, you know, and what's important, right? You know, did I feel like a bit of a failure coming into this, you know, this new year? Yes, because I hadn't set my goals. But reality was, you know, I had had some unexpected events, right? Hit some roadblocks, had a huge growth learning experience and a major opportunity. So it was really just a bunch of adjustments, right? It was a lot of some ebb and flow and adjustments and reevaluations and assessments, and, you know, and pick up and go. I just kept trudging forward. I trip and fall, I get myself back up and push forward. And that's really what's important, right? Especially in this industry, I find that resilience and determination and grit, right? Those are some of the things that you need. You know, actually, I know some people that aren't even that personable, but that do fantastic in this industry because you know, they have some of the other qualities. So all right. So, you know, it started really with intention. I had to identify the intention of, you know, what was I doing? What was I even thinking getting my real estate license? I had, and how did it happen? We had tried to sell our house unsuccessfully. I was an expired. And I thought to myself, wow, like it can't really be that hard to sell a house. So I set out to get my license, and you know, some things that happened at work, like I had mentioned, you know, in the public sector, we were our business was paid by, you know, taxpayer funds, and some things had happened, and there were some layoffs, and I was like, holy crap, like I don't even know if I'm going to have a job next year. So what's my plan B? So I got my real estate license, and you know, joined a big franchise, you know, one of the whatever longest running Century 21 franchises. I had interviewed all of the other locals, and it was like, you know what, let me go with a big box. You know, they've got boatloads of training and experience, and they're right here in my local market. So where, you know, where did I want to go? Where was I? I was employed. I was planning to stay as a part-time agent. And into the future, eventually I wanted to become a full-time agent if I determined that it was successful, that I was able to do it, and that I liked it. So everybody, you know, enters this area from a different perspective, right? Some people are unemployed or newly unemployed. They've been laid off. They're exploring their opportunities. Some people are employed. And it's important that everybody takes the time to really assess, where they are, where they want to be. What does that look like? I also hear people that are currently licensed that are thinking about getting a job. I was told early on, that I couldn't be a part-time agent. And this was by not only my office manager, but other agents in the field. Good luck. Don't quit your day job, right? All of the things that you're told as a part-time agent. You'll never succeed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. But I hear people all the time, oh, I'm thinking about getting a part-time job because real estate, I'm not making as much money as I need. And I'd caution people, right, to really weigh that out. Could you just double down in your business and make more money as a realtor, or do you need to get that part-time job? And I am a big supporter of part-time agents because, one, I was there. Two, it's a great opportunity, depending on the position, because you are you kind of hold your coworkers captive, right? You have a built-in pool of potential clients if you work them properly. And you're probably the only realtor that has direct access to them on a regular basis. So that's one of the things that I do like about having a job, a part-time job or a full-time job on the side, because if it's worked properly, and that's where my first, 4 years of business came, was from my colleagues, my coworkers. But it was intentional. I had to make sure that I was talking about the open houses and the showings and the closings that I had going on, and keep the market at the forefront of the conversation.
And you know what? I love that you say that, because a lot of people, when they leave their jobs, it's like they're trying to create a new identity, because a lot of times when you leave your jobs, you're like, it's toxic, or you're burnt out. And then they're like, well, I don't talk to any of those people anymore, or I don't want to talk to those people. I'm like, what you need to do is make some money off those people that you don't like. Right? You have a built-in gold mine having a dual career, and you guys
Absolutely.
really have to know that.
Absolutely. And, we just actually recently formed a group of employees, current and old employees from that company. And I was like, yep, let me in there, right? So that I can better maintain those connections, because I was with a lot of them for, 15 plus years. So, to continue to nurture and maintain that communication and conversation and relationship is so important. Oops, sorry. Whoops. Let me go back. You guys are getting a sneak peek into the future there. So motivation. We have to identify the motivation. Why are we doing this, right? And again, I mean, on some level, I was like, oh my God, I must be crazy. I'm thinking about leaving a civil service pension, salaried position. I was making, decent money. I had benefits. My benefits were amazing. I had paid time off. Why would I leave this? And my HR representative was not shy about her thoughts on the same thing, right? But realistically, for me, I had kind of hit a ceiling there. I wasn't interested in pursuing leadership roles. I was done. And I realized that it didn't matter. I'm an overachiever. I will always give more and go above and beyond. And I wasn't being compensated. I was maybe being recognized for that, but I certainly wasn't being compensated for that. And I was like, well, wait, I have this opportunity that I could triple my income with not much more effort than I'm currently giving at my position. So, what was my motivation? My motivation was certainly financial. It was also some freedom for my family and emotional. I had become complacent. I was going through the motions. I wasn't excited about my job. I had lost the connection with the why, right? Really, for that. My position, I was servicing public schools. The students really were my clients, but I didn't interact with them. I never saw the results of my work in their life. So I had really lost that connection. So For me, it was financial, it was emotional, and I loved real estate. And I wanted more flexibility and control over my career, time, and income. So it's important to identify what that motivation is. You need to take a hard look at your finances before you make any major moves. Understand your finances, understand what your current financial position is, consider your savings, alternative income sources, to support yourself, your family, who's involved, right? What are your current obligations? What are the potential fluctuations? We hear all the time that there's ebbs and flows in real estate. Some of that is self-imposed, right? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you know, you need to be aware of the possible fluctuations, financial obligations, including things like insurance, right? Childcare. I carried the insurance for my family at my previous position, which is really what was holding me back. At the time, nobody was offering insurance to their realtors, right? It wasn't something that we had the ability to purchase by ourselves. So that was really one of the things that helped me there, was the insurance for my family. And then, you know, what does that mean? Know the income correlation between the employee and the entrepreneur. There's a huge difference. If you're making 70,000 at a W-2 job, that doesn't mean that you have to make 70,000 as an entrepreneur. You have to make 2.5 times what your current salary is in order to make ends meet and have profit, which really is everybody's goal. I didn't want to just make the same amount of money. I wanted to make more so that I had, you know, a better lifestyle, more cushion, more security, more certainty, and a future. So knowing that correlation, and that was just something that I Googled. I hadn't thought about it at the time. I was like, oh, you know, how does salary compare, right? And I was astounded. I was kind of blown away by that discovery because it wasn't something that I was prepared for. So, and to put that in numbers, you know, making 70,000 as a salaried employee, because all your taxes are paid, your insurance is paid, all the things are done, right? I needed to make about $250,000 to, you know, comfortably live, or have it lifestyle slightly improved, and be in momentum before making the switch. So if you're working and doing real estate part-time, it's recommended that, depending on the market, that you have 6 months in savings and 3 to 6 months of projected deals pending listings, so that once you leave your position, you have successfully closed for maybe the last 6 months deals on a continuous basis that equal or exceed the income that you need to make. And then make sure that you have 3 to 6 months of deals stacked up, ready to go. Because that is, you don't want to leave your job with nothing in the pipeline. So make sure you fill that pipeline. And the easiest way to do that, I have a couple of new agents right now that are just getting their license. They have a full-time job. They want to leave. I'm like, great, start filling your pipeline now. You haven't even gotten your license yet. 2 of them, they're in the process. Start filling your pipeline now. Tell people that you're getting your license. Have as many conversations as you can with people now, so that they know as soon as you're ready and are licensed, you can help them. And just keep having those conversations. So that's super important.
And you guys can post, you know, something I want to add is while you're taking your license, just be like, hey guys, I'm taking my license or get my real estate license. Wish me luck, right? You're planting the seeds, do some stories like, all right, I'm almost ready. Line them up, you know, like don't wait. Exactly what you said. Do it beforehand. If you're watching this and haven't had your license.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't wait. Share far, share wide, share with as many people as you can if you're just getting licensed. And if you just got into the business or you're just getting back into the business, you know, again, just blast it out there, because people will acknowledge, congratulate, and it's bound to stir the pot for somebody, right? Oh, I didn't know you were an agent. You know, my mother, brother, sister, cousin needs to buy or sell a house. So it starts those conversations, and do it regularly. All right. So who are the shareholders? It's important that we identify all of the shareholders that are impacted and affected by this decision, right? That was one of my biggest mistakes, realistically, which is, maybe why I'm divorced now. Is that there are people, and if there aren't, great, right? If you're living by yourself, you're a single person, no family, and it's just you who's really going to be impacted, fantastic. But still take the time to sit and think about who is going to be impacted by this decision. Is it your spouse, kids, partner, parents, pets, right? Working 8 12-hour days, your pet might be home alone. Do you need to get a dog sitter or a walker, or somebody to come pet your cat? But it's important that everybody has a conversation, have a meeting, have a conversation, set common goals, so that everybody understands where we're going, why we're going there, what's involved, and for how long. So for 4 years, I was working a full-time job, scheduling showings and listing appointments after work, in between soccer practices that I was coaching. And I didn't want that to be forever. So it was important that I communicated that this is just for a short period of time, right? Please help me get to where I want to go, so that I can pull back and have more time for us, for family, for all of the things. But make no mistake, I prioritized all of my kids' activities and practices and games and events and concerts and all of the things. Those were first on my calendar. And then I would schedule showings and listing appointments, that stuff, so that I still had, a nice family life. But it's important that we set those expectations and boundaries. And I'll tell you what, so one of my coaches gave me the idea, like, you need to draw one of those thermometers and put it up on the refrigerator, set your goals up on the thermometer, that these are the milestones you want to hit, and have the kids fill it out. So every time I had a closing, they'd color in the amount of the commission check. Every time I brought on an agent, they'd color in the thermometer. And then when we would hit that goal, we'd celebrate, whether it was ice cream or a movie or whatever it was. So it was important to get everybody's buy-in and plan to celebrate each achievement, because that's not something that we do enough.
Ziggy, I'd like to add to that. One thing that we did too is I put please stop, like a stop sign. And it said, I'm working towards these goals. And I would ask my kids, and there was Disney World and a new car and those kinds of things. I'm like, wait, stop. Like, I'm trying to go on the Disney cruise here. And every time I got rejected, door slammed in my face all the time. Like, I'm going on the Disney cruise. I'm going on the Disney cruise. And I went on the Disney cruise during the crash because I did it and I showed them, I got them involved.
Yeah, it's super important. And they'll get on board, right? And they'll cheer you along and they'll keep you in check. They quickly became my accountability partners, right? Mom, and I told them, every day I come home, ask me if I got a listing, right? Did I go on a listing appointment? Have I signed a listing contract, or have I gotten somebody else under contract? Ask me if I've made my phone calls, right? How many agents did I speak to today? I'm still doing 75 hard. I'm in phase 2. And, my kids have seen this. So now for about 150 days that I've been on this path. And the other day I was sitting on the couch, it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, oh, I still have to do my second workout. I think I'm just going to pass. And they're 12 and 15. And they both were like, wait, what? Mom, no, you got to go do your workout. And I was like, yes, like that's all.
Yeah.
Right? They know what it means. They appreciate, they acknowledge, right, the commitment that I've made to this, and they support me every step of the way. So getting their buy-in is super important. Lead strategy. Taking a look. So, I was getting ready to transition into full-time real estate. And I was like, where are my leads coming from? So it was important that I identified where my business was currently coming from and where it could come from, and double down on it, right? Because I'm getting ready, if you're thinking about transitioning into a full-time career, You're getting ready. You want to start ramping up on that. You want to double down on the things that are working. So if you don't already, track your listings, track your active, track your pendings and closings, and note what the source of that deal was, because that's going to identify to you where the majority of your business is coming from or where some of it's coming from. And it's important to have 4 or 5 different sources of business. It's okay to start with one, which is generally our sphere of influence, repeat and referral business. But then if you only have one, it's important that you grow 2, 4, or 5 other spokes, because especially with sphere of influence, which everybody should focus on, that's kind of an inconsistent opportunity, because our friends and family and their referrals, they may or may not be buying or selling real estate, but then exploring other opportunities. And I talk about this here. Craft a comprehensive lead generation strategy to grow, right? Implement a mix of traditional and digital marketing, and focus on need to sell sellers. What does that mean? May or may not. Not everybody needs to sell. I get calls all the time. I'm thinking of selling. I want to test the market. Those are semi or not motivated sellers, right? Not that I won't work with them. I'm happy to work with them, but I would rather work with somebody who is a need to sell seller. That's somebody that has expired, somebody that is a for sale by owner, somebody that is in probate. They just recently inherited property, had somebody pass away. They're getting a divorce. They're going into foreclosure. Those people need to sell their house. They've got some of them have had their hands in the air saying, I want to sell my house, right? One even would put a help wanted sign in the front yard, for sale by owner. Those are need to sell sellers. They are very motivated. So, those are the people that I chose to work with because my time was very limited. Realistically, I had 2 or 3 hours, 4 or 5 days a week, to work with people to help them sell their house. I didn't necessarily want to be focused on people that were semi-motivated, right? I wanted to focus on people that were extremely motivated. Buyers don't ever have to buy. They will pull themselves out of the market as soon as things get comfortable. Even 1031 exchanges, they don't have to buy. They could just pay the taxes. So, but sellers, on the other hand, some of them have to sell. Focus on them. Time and energy. Identify how much time you have and how much energy you have. Now, as I age, as I mature, 6 o'clock, my brain's toast. I don't have the capacity to do math. I don't have the capacity to come up with terms and conditions for an offer. So identify, what's a good time, how much time I really truly have to commit to this, and how much energy do I have, and make sure that you refill your cup, right? So how do you do that? With a calendar. It could be the Google Calendar, the calendar that Matt gives you, whatever it is that you use, even a paper calendar. I'm 51, so I'm a hybrid, right? I still use paper. I digitize everything, but I still have paper on the side. Who else is hybrid here? Raise your hand. Yeah.
I'm up there. I'm almost 50, so I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah. My kid was telling me this morning, she's like, Mom, your generation, and she's running down a list of things. And she was like, and you guys, you weren't brought up on this, but you're pretty adaptive. And I was like, yeah, I'm hybrid. She was like, but your parents, they're totally against it. I was like, yeah, they are. My dad tells me all the time about his smart car that's stupid. But so, time block, develop a schedule, identify, everybody know the big rock theory, right? Where you take your big rocks, right? Those are the priorities: family, health, your workout. Put those in the jar first, and then you can put in the pebbles, and then the sand, and then the water, right? So when you're developing your schedule, prioritize your family and yourself, and then prioritize dollar productive activities. Those things are the lead generation, lead follow-up, and listing, buyer appointments. Put it all in a calendar and create your daily routine, right? And that includes time that you're taking for yourself. Again, workout, meditation, read a book, some recreation, exercise, whatever it is that helps you fill your cup. Make sure you put that in the calendar too. And then do those things every day. And I'll talk about that in a minute, because it's important that it's consistent, continuous effort, right? Because in the real estate industry, we work on a 30, 60, kind of 90-day schedule. And I might not see immediately the impact of my lack of activity, right? If I stop making phone calls, I'm not going to see it immediately, but 30, 60, 90 days down the road, you bet your bottom dollar that my bank account is going to suffer if I don't do those things. Identify the gaps. I had some gaps. I still have some gaps, but it's important that we identify the gaps. For me, it was training. My first 4 years as a dual agent, I didn't have time for the training. It wasn't easily accessible. At my previous brokerage, they offered it, but I couldn't attend. It was 45 minutes away in the evening. During the day, it was like on the weekends. I'm like, I'm at soccer games, I'm at all the things. So I was definitely lacking in training. So I had to find some training that was high quality and ongoing. Be careful of who you're listening to, right? Tanya's fantastic. You're in good hands there. But be careful of who
sometimes I don't say the best things. That's why I bring on speakers like you.
But it's important, right, that you have good, high quality training, and that it's ongoing. There's a lot of, especially now, I think, Tanya, in the last 2 years, I've seen an excessive amount, right, of free classes and coaching and all of the things. And some of it's great and some of it's not so great. Be careful who you're listening to. Be careful who you're following, and be careful of the shiny object syndrome. Trust me when I tell you, I didn't have a lot of time, but I had money. So I tried all of the things. None of them worked. None of them worked. I tried them all. Don't bother wasting your money. And literally, I mean, I easily spent $30,000, $40,000 trying all of the things. The thing that I found that worked best for me and was predictable was picking up the phone and making somebody else's phone ring, right? Calling the people that needed my help proactively. That being said, I've never bought a lead, but I have subscribed to referral programs, right? So Upnest, Homelight, there's a million of them, right? Ojo, OpCity.
OpCity.
Right? All of the referral programs, what I liked about them is that there wasn't a startup fee, there wasn't an ongoing fee. I just had to pay a boatload of money when the deal closed, right? But for the most part, they were handing me a ready, willing, and able buyer or seller. So I didn't have the time that I didn't have to prospect. And during my lunch hour, I would make phone calls, right? But the other time I didn't really have that. So I was willing to pay a referral fee whenever somebody would send me business. And that's a viable option, right? I'd rather you do that than pay a subscription for buyer leads, because reality is, as soon as you get that listing, you're going to have to beat the buyers off with a stick, right? So go after the listings, go after the people that are like, I need your help, right? I'm facing foreclosure, I'm underwater, I just had a death in the family, I tried to sell my house and I couldn't, right? Go after those people. They need your help. They're already ready, willing, and able. And half the time, if it's a for sale by owner, you can find their phone number on Zillow. So you don't even have to go hunting for it.
I want to touch on something that you said earlier. You're saying training, right? There's training out there, and you can be careful who you listen to. But excuse me, you also have to be careful with listening to the right person too much. What that means is, do not train yourself to death. So many of you guys are like, I'm doing training. I have to take 40 hours of training before I pick up the phone. No, what you need to do is actually talk to people. You're not going to know everything, and you're not going to be able to retain that. What do you have to add to that, Ziggy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, and you can train yourself to death. And, the way I roll, I don't recommend it necessarily, because I will, hit the ground running and figure it out as I'm, on my way. I'll build the plane as I try to fly it. But I work great that way, right? I work well that way. I have a couple of agents that want to know everything before they get started. What I recommend is like learn 20 to 30% of it, whatever it is, and then implement, right? Learn and then implement, learn and then implement, because it's all that on the job training, right? And it's okay to say, that's a great question. I don't have the answer, but I'll get it to you by the end of the day, right? That is absolutely okay, rather than trying to BS your way through it, or have it prevent you from taking the action. So, learn a little bit and then implement that. And to your point, find 2 or 3 people to listen to that you really vibe with, understand what they're saying. It kind of gels with your personality. I like 2 to 3 different people that are kind of on the same page, but some of them are coming from different perspectives. My brain needed washing, right? Because I had developed some bad habits along the way. I wasn't being guided. I wasn't being trained. So I had developed some bad habits. So when I did sign up for coaching, when I did sign up for coaching, I was like, oh my God, I've got a bunch of wrong perspectives or habits that I need to kind of suss out here. But finding a 2 or 3 people that were, successful, high level, long-term, high producing people, agents, coaches in the industry to follow, mimic, model after. I found that was successful for me. That way I wasn't listening to just one person. I had kind of a couple of different perspectives that were in line with where I was going, and that somebody I could model after. Coaching is an investment, not an expense. And that was something that I struggled with initially. It was like, oh my God, $2,000 a year, that's a lot of money. Yep, it is, it could be. But what are you doing with what you're learning? And it's really to better yourself. Who are you going to be at the other side of that training, at the other side of that coaching? And who will you be further down the line after you've implemented those things? You'll be a different person, right? You'll be a better person, hopefully in small increments along the way. So I definitely recommend coaching on top of training, because they are different. Coaching, and if you don't understand, if you don't know, training is kind of group setting. It's, one size fits all. Coaching is literally interacting with somebody directly, where they are, and assessing where you are and giving you direct feedback on how to change, improve yourself.
And
Tanya, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add to that. Everybody in this program, the Thrive Real Estate Network, you all have a free coach. She's saying coaching is an investment, right? People pay me $1,000 a month. You guys all have access to hop on a call with me. Everyone has the link. You guys got to take advantage of it. But some of you don't want to be accountable, right? Because being accountable is being vulnerable, right? It feels like you're failing. But listen, coaches aren't your bosses. They're just your business partners. Why are you laughing, Angela? We are your business partners. We're not your bosses. I ain't paying your bills.
Yeah, because you hold us accountable. You ask me, did you do this? Did you do that? And I'm like, not yet.
Yeah.
So yes.
Take advantage of people like me and Ziggy and all the resources. Back to you, Ziggy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, especially, so if you're with EXP, you understand, right, the value of the people that you've aligned with, the upline, the added benefits, coaching, systems, training that comes with that person, your sponsor, the package, the company. Not everybody gets that. And it's hard to communicate the value there, because it is priceless, right? And I recently just had something equate. I just had to sign up for, back to the insurance, right? I just signed up for EXP's healthcare. which I had been putting off because it was like, oh my God, it's an expense. And then it was like, no, wait, it's an investment. It'll be an expense if I don't have it and something happens. So I bit the bullet and signed up for it. And lo and behold, it comes with a 30-minute, a monthly 30-minute call with a therapist. And I was like, dang, I'm going to take advantage of that, right? Because who can't benefit from 30 minutes of just talking to somebody, right? That's not your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, an agent on your team, your coach. Like, it's a totally unrelated, unbiased person that actually has professional training.
I feel like it's like a car tune-up, right? You don't know your
Oh,
car
yeah.
needs the tune-up, but it needs a tune-up. We all need a tune-up.
Absolutely. And I was like, that's included. I'm taking advantage of that. There's a couple other things. I think it's like free chat, and I think like even a monthly psychiatric appointment. But I was like, I am going to take advantage of that, because you don't know the value until you needed it, you didn't use it. And, anyway, so I'll move on from there. Staff. I realized very quickly that I was the bottleneck in my production. I'm not very good at delegating, and I'm still not. I'm working on it. But the first position, and I didn't hire for the position, I partnered with, actually at the time, EXP was doing TC, offering TC services. And I was like, great, I don't have to employ anybody, right? So there's not a regular monthly payment that I have to make. I only pay my TC, and that's a transaction coordinator. I only pay the TC when I close a deal. And that took a load of minutia off of my plate, because what was happening was that ebb and flow that I was talking about before. I'd get, 5 deals under contract, and then I had to service them all. Well, during that time, I wasn't able to do all of the other things, including prospecting, on top of all of the minutia. So it was important for me to identify what the bottleneck was, where I needed the help, the who, not how, right? That's a great book. And engage with a TC. My next staff requirement need was a VA, virtual assistant. I have successfully deployed my virtual assistant, but I don't keep her busy enough. Again, delegation is a problem for me, but I'm working on it. So identifying the gaps, right? And staff is big. So the TC, like I said, I don't employ. I only pay the TC when I close a deal. They take some of that minutia and paperwork off my plate, and it's well worth the investment for me, because then I can continue to do the proactive things that I'm supposed to be doing. And then implement, right? So I had to implement all of the things. One of the things that I needed to change was, where am I implementing this new business? I wanted to leave. I wanted to become a full-time agent 2 years into my career. I was worried about the insurance, and I wasn't making enough money. And it was because of my commission split. I was on a 60-40 split. I was not making enough commission out of my commission check to leave my job. So I took a long, hard look at what my other opportunities were. And that was when I found EXP. Well, actually not true. I had found it in 2016. It was a small baby company at that point. I was a new agent. From my perspective, it was a new company, and it wasn't an option for me. But then when I found it again, I was like, yep, sign me up. I'm going, I'm out of here. I instantly gave myself a 20% raise, which allowed me 6 months later to leave my job. So where you're implementing this plan, this progress, this work is very important. So take a look at your brokerage if you're not happy there. What am I implementing? I was implementing the plan that I put out, how many phone calls I had to make a day, how many appointments I had to set a week, how many closings I had to have a year. That was the plan. That was my business plan. I did it upfront so that I knew how much money I needed to make and keep in order to be successful, comfortable, and have future security. And then implement the systems. It was important. And I'm not great at systems. I'm not a great systems person, but whoops, I'm going to flip that. I'm working on my systems. The but having systems in place that are scalable, because as soon as you change things, modify things, implement new things, you're going to have new systems that have to help you keep the train on the track, right? So make sure that you're implementing systems. Checklists are great. Some type of automation, things that happen without your intervention are fantastic. And there's so many different opportunities there. And how are you going to implement it? With determined, consistent action. And really that's an important piece of the puzzle, because you can implement it kind of half-assed, inconsistently, and sometimes, right? You're not going to get the outcome that you want. You're not going to get the results that you want. So make sure, that was a big one for me, and it still is, right? And I have to remind myself sometimes, what am I supposed to be doing today? Well, whenever I look at my board, my whiteboard here, and I see gaps in my listing fields, I know that I'm supposed to be making phone calls and setting appointments. So doing it with determined, consistent action. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it daily, right? If you're a part-time agent and you're like, yep, I'm going to do it 2 days a week, do it 2 days a week, right? When you're working, work. When you're not working, don't work. But when you're working and you've set that time aside, make sure that you're doing what you need to do to keep your business moving forward.
Can I touch on that? I love that you said
Yeah.
that, because we have talked about the magic number, right? If you want to sell 12 homes a year, you need to speak to 100 people a month, which is 25 people a week, right? If you want less, do the math. If you want more, double it. Exactly what she said, that you just have to set the time aside to go, okay, if I need to talk to 25 people this week, how many hours is that going to take me? How much energy is that going to take me? Who do I need to talk? Which shareholder do I need to talk to let them know that I need some undivided time, right? I need time to focus. And then when I'm not on that, I get to focus on you. So it's like having that system to talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd be surprised at how many phone calls you can actually get done in an hour, because 80% of them aren't going to answer the phone, right? So you can probably get 20 phone calls done in the hour instead of the 15, 20 minutes that you've hemmed and hawed about starting, and then half of your hour is gone. Just pick up the phone and do it. So important. All right. And then track everything. I had to, again, learn how to track, because I could do all of the things, but if I didn't know what the outcomes were from my efforts, I didn't know what I had to do next or what I should keep doing. So track everything, track your money. There's a great tool I use. It used to be called Personal Capital, but then they renamed themselves to something. What did they rename themselves to? I don't remember, but it used to be Personal Capital. You can plug in all your accounts, all of your investments, your house, your mortgage, all the things. And you just have one dashboard that you can look at every day that tells you what your net worth is. My goal wasn't just to make money, it was to keep most of it, right? So the net income was what's important. So I don't want to be spending all of my money unnecessarily. So I want to track where my money's going, if it's effective. If it's not, I'll cut it out. Don't cut it out too early though. So, set a time. I'm going to let this go for 3 months. Okay. At the end of 3 months, then I'll cut it out if it's not making money. What's your ROI? What are your efforts? Track your efforts. How many phone calls did I make? How many appointments did I make? And how many listing appointments? How many contracts came out of that? And then track your results. Is this a viable spoke for me? Should I keep working this? Or is it sort of working, and how can I make it better? Do I need additional training or coaching to make it better? And there's always tools. The CRM, check it daily, engage with it daily, and check any dashboard that you have. So like at EXP, we have the dashboard. It tracks our income, our closings, our agents, all of the things. Make use of those tools to track your efforts. And then rinse and repeat, right? Rinse and repeat. All the dollar productive activities, can do them on a continuous basis. Again, pick the schedule, set the time, and then be consistent with it. Track every day. And when do you do it? Daily, every day. That's what daily means. I had somebody ask me, what does that mean? I said, do it daily. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, every day. That's what daily means. Maybe take the weekends off or not, right? Depending on your goal. I worked 7 days a week my first 2 years because my goal was to get the damn plane off the ground, right? My family knew that that wasn't going to be my entire life. It was for a short period of time until I got up off the ground, got some momentum. Once I got in the air, cruising altitude, I was able to step back a little bit, right? And that's hard to step back, let me tell you. And then how to do it consistently with enthusiasm. Back to the lack of knowledge, right? Enthusiasm can win over lack of knowledge. So if you're feeling insecure about your lack of knowledge, just be enthusiastic about it, right? Because people love the energy. And I think that's it so, that's really how I went from part-time to a full-time agent. I did make the transition. And so 3 years in, and I love it. One thing I'll caution you is that if you do go from part-time to full-time and you leave that 8 hours behind, you suddenly have an abundance of time. Ignore it. Treat it as if you only have 3 hours a day and get as much done in that time as you can. Because for my first year, I was like, oh, I have 8 hours to do the things, and I didn't get anything done.
Yes, I love it. So I have a question for you about scripting. Okay.
Yes.
Because everybody is wondering, how do you approach people in your job? Because a lot of times there could be some conflict of interest. What was your conversation with people? How'd you do it? And how did you kind of navigate that?
I made it all about them, right? How was your weekend? What did you do? Anything fun? Right? They tell me all of the things. I had a barbecue. My daughter had a concert. We went to, the water park. How was your weekend? They'd always ask me, right? How was my weekend? Oh man, I had a great open house. I put some houses under contract or whatever. Oh gosh, I really needed some time off from, real estate. So we went wherever. So starting with them, letting them talk, show interest in them, be curious about their weekend, what they did, whatever. Really, that was where it came from. And asking about family, right? I mean, especially when you find out that, and it sounds kind of awful, right? I mean, a neighbor of mine just went away in a hospital, in an ambulance the other day. I went over, obviously my realtor curiosity peaked up, but so did my humanity, right? This is my neighbor. Obviously something's going on over there, but it crept up on me, right? I'm not ashamed of that, but I approached them as a friend, right? Inevitably, real estate came up because she knows I'm a realtor, right? Oh, we may have to sell the house, right? Arnie can't get up and down the stairs anymore. Approaching people as a person, as a human, with interest, love, compassion, empathy, all of the things. And that was really what I found to be the most successful.
I love that. And, I also think that with people that are hybrid, if you guys have the opportunity to go in the office, right, and you have that option while you're in your dual career, go in the office. Don't just stay at home. Be in front of the gold mine of people to have those conversations.
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you add everyone to Facebook, or did you want to remain private? Because in dual career, a lot of people are like, I got to keep my private life. But when you're in real estate, you're not out there. You got to figure out what you're willing to show. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Social media and I have had a very interesting relationship. It's not my favorite place to be. And actually, I was just listening to Mel Robbins. Is it Mel Robbins with her high five life or high five challenge or whatever? And I feel on social media, truth be told, I feel overwhelmed, angry, and jealous. Right? That's where I go when I'm on social media. And did I say overwhelmed? Because it's also very overwhelming to me. So I don't really like to be there. And 2 weeks ago, I made the decision that one, not only am I doing myself and my clients a disservice, right? Don't I post just listed, just sold, that type of thing, a new listing, that type of stuff. But aside from that, I don't spend a lot of time there. But I'm also not out there educating. I'm not out there sharing experiences and opportunities, right? Which is doing my clients a disservice because
Ziggy, they were
they
asking
might
to stop can you stop sharing so we can kind of see?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sorry about that. If I'm not teaching them, who are they learning from?
Mhm,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. So, it's important for me to be out there educating, teaching, sharing my knowledge and experience so that they can learn from me, as opposed to somebody that, might be guiding them down the wrong road. So I add, once a deal is closed, I will add somebody as a new client as a friend. But I won't do it beforehand. I invite them to my Facebook page. But I won't invite them as a friend until after the deal is closed. And I don't share a lot of personal information necessarily, but I don't want to blur that line per se.
And that is definitely a personal preference for sure. And also the other thing is on Facebook, you guys, you could put, I just want to share with this group of people, or I want to share public, or I want to share private. Because I know a couple of you have coached a couple of you. Matt's one of them. That's like, oh, I got to get more comfortable on social media. And then he realized I need to be doing videos. I need to be doing social media, and it's helping him. And it's also built up your confidence, right? Because here's the deal. Listen, everybody has opinions, right? And I like this quote is, I used to worry about everybody's opinions until I tried to pay my bills with them.
Yep.
All right. So we have a few more minutes. What are the ahas? First of all, did you guys get value from this? I'd love for you guys to unmute and then give me your ahas. Shoot them out really quick. This was so good. Who had some ahas?
Well, Tanya, I was late and I apologize, Ziggy. I apologize because I didn't want to miss this. I was at a meeting. I was actually outside, hitting the pavement and socializing, but had a meeting actually outside in a pedestrian plaza. But what I liked is that you said you weren't out there educating. And I have to do more of that. I have to get comfortable with my knowledge before I can pass it on. And being a newbie, I'm trying to absorb as much as I can because I want to regurgitate it the right way and with confidence and excitement. And I try to do that a little bit today. So I'm proud of myself. I pat myself on the back because I did a little bit of that with a little I learned. So Ziggy, that you just said is I'm a little bit also shy about sharing on social media, especially with people really tight in my family who do not know I'm doing this yet. So I have to be selective for now, but I do want to educate the right way. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. And yeah, after 8 years, I'm still semi insecure about my knowledge, right? Because there's so many different perspectives. And am I interpreting right? You know what? It's hard. So what I've been doing recently is, whether it's a blog or an article that I read, just reframing exactly what that's saying, right? I don't have to, and giving my opinion. My opinion is not fact, right? I'll stick to the fact when I can, and then I'll give my own interpretation of it. Nobody can fault me for it's my interpretation, like hands off, right? That's mine, and owning it, because again, it'll help attract the type of people that want to work with me, and that's important.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Sharmila, last one. Thank you.
Yeah, so hi, and it was great knowing about certain things like, to judge like who needs to do what. And you highlighted the thing that a lot of sellers need to sell, but buyers, it's kind of optional. They might pull out. So that was really good. Could you
Yes.
also say some things about how we can really get these pieces together, like who really wants or needs to sell among a lot of the leads that we have?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question, Sharmila. Thanks for asking it. Having a pre-qualification script, right? Having a script, and scripting is so important, right? And I've been scripted, and it's important that when you get a script, it's really, three things to know. It's a conversational outline, right? So follow it to the T, and then once you've memorize it, internalize it, and then personalize it. So internalize it to the point where you don't need to look at it anymore, and then put your own spin on it. I made the mistake, I'm a big personality, I'm enthusiastic, I fly by the seat of my pants. I personalized my scripts almost immediately, and I was missing key components, right? So it was impacting my effectiveness, right? My efficiency. So I was like, all right, let me go back and really internalize the script and then personalize it, so that I know that this is the order of operations. These are the questions I have to ask. And it's important that I ask all of them, not some of them or most of them, because they're important. So, which house in the neighborhood do you decide, are you looking to sell, right? That's an important question when I'm talking to a buyer, because I've had buyers, and that was my lesson. Was I started working with a buyer, I half scripted them, and come to find out they had their house hit the market. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean you're selling your house? I didn't ask. I had hijacked the script. I didn't ask all the pertinent questions, and they listed their house with another agent because they didn't know that I could list their house and help them buy, right? So that was on me, and it was like, all right, I need to change that. So finding a good pre-qualification script where you're asking the questions is really important, and that will help weed out the want to sells versus the need to sells. And especially the buyers, they are sellers in sheep's clothing. So, don't poo-poo or push off a buyer, because you never know what they have to sell or who they know that has to sell.
Okay, so we want to respect your time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm already getting tons of text messages saying this was a really great session. Ziggy has a lot to share. If you guys want to send her referrals, she's in New York. What part of New York?
Oh, that's right. I forgot to say where I was. I'm in New York. I am what's known as the Hudson Valley. I'm about an hour and a half north of New York City.
All right. Send her referrals. If you need anything, reach out to her. Thank you so much. You were wonderful as always. And I will look forward to getting the recording out to you guys. And you guys, thank you for being here. Implement what she said. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And then
All right.
we have this Wednesday class tomorrow, watch party, if you are wanting to hop on again. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.